So next is Olly. I want just to remind to the people that are listening that they can find in the description the link to the Discord where we're going to have a 45 minutes break to interconnect with each other. And we can just connect more directly one-on-one. And Olly, it's already waiting. So welcome, Oliver Thomas from the Archi-Tech Network and Big London. Hello, Olly. How are you?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
I'm disappointed the glasses have come off because I was just getting ready to rock.
Oh, we can go on.
Okay, fine. If we're gonna do this, I'm gonna put them back on too.
Oh, we're all going with the.
Yeah.
Where did that come from?
Eric. We're doing this Eric style.
It's okay. I'll start to lose my sight.
No, I don't see my mouse. I don't.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
We need practice like Eric. He has to give us sort of like he feels his mouse, he feels where it is on the screen. It's like the force.
Thanks for the invite and congratulations on podcast 100.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's been a long journey. And you're one of our recurring guests because along this journey we managed to connect more with some people and be more like also cooperative. You have started your own platform podcast. That's something in between. Moved from New York to London, so it's a lot happened in the last. I'm gonna show the Archi-Tech network, the current state of the art that also now has a home, an online home.
We have a website.
And you did also you did the first two classes. I took part of the 101, and unfortunately on 102 I had to go to say bye to a friend that was moving away from Frankfurt. But I'll have to check it up on here because people can access it here. So how was preparing this? You guys did like 2 days in a row for our stream. How does it work when you prepare something like that? Because you are three, you have Guilherme and Faisal. So this trilogy of people, so to say, who does what and how does it work, the whole Archi-Tech network team in the backstage?
So I guess this was the big thing since we last talked, right? We launched, I mean, for Archi-Tech network we've always had three kind of main, I don't know what channels to get content out there, right? The podcast, which we started on Clubhouse. YouTube, we started about, 6 months ago now. And then the final one was kind of creating our own website where we could put long format courses. And we were going to put long format courses on YouTube, but it's a bit tricky because YouTube is very distracting, right? With all the videos, like suggesting you to click on other stuff. It's not a great place for like super long courses. And plus, we're also kind of monetizing the courses a little bit. So we launched our first course, this one, the Grasshopper Masterclass. It's a 3-part 101, 102, 103 series. And it takes you through the absolute basic foundations of how to use Grasshopper, like literally from opening it to trying to understand what lists are, what data trees are, and all that kind of stuff. So this is a course that actually Guillaume and I have developed inside of Big, and we kind of, have taught it a number of times for Bigsters, and we tweaked it a bit for this audience, but it was a good course for us to do because Guillaume and I have been teaching it together a few times already. So the course was kind of, we were tweaking and curating it for this particular audience, and Faisal was really kind of helping out with all the background stuff, managing, the Discord and all the questions. So what happened with it was we launched it, we released the course, and there was this great reaction to it. We had, in the end, we had 1,300 to 1,400 people sign up from like 80
Cool.
different countries. I think that was the coolest thing, was like the number of countries like that people are from was incredible, because that was a big goal of ours, was to like reach as many people as possible.
That is so cool.
Yeah, and that's what we were really excited about. And we quickly realized we couldn't do it on Zoom anymore, and like Zoom got too expensive. Like, you know, it gets more and more expensive the more people you need to get in, even though 1,300 people will not show up on the day. But so then we ended up going down the YouTube route, exactly like what you guys are doing now, using StreamYard and all that kind of stuff. And we were a little bit worried, like, will people actually turn up on YouTube and hang around? Because like, you know, now if there's people watching this on YouTube, there's all these like other videos that are like tempting you over.
Yeah, it's cluttered. It's like not very clean and focused. You really have to.
Yeah.
But I think you have a big advantage that you said, okay, like your CV speaks for itself, because you work at the BIG, which is one of the world leading offices in the field of parametric architecture, computational design. And so if you say, okay, I'm offering you 8 hours class live, I think a lot of people are taking the opportunity. Do you know from which part of the world were the most of the people, or was it equally distributed?
Actually, I think it was a mix between, there was a big crowd from Nigeria, because Faisal is from Nigeria, and he was based in Nigeria, and he got it out to a lot of universities there. The US was a big one, the UK. In fact, I'm actually just looking at it now on my other screen. So currently, let me see what we're looking at. Yeah, we have a big United States. Italy was a big one. I don't know, that kind of came out of nowhere. UAE, there was quite a few people from the UAE. US, UK, UAE, Nigeria, Italy. It was a real mix, to be honest with you. And then there's just like a list of all these different, like 2 to 3 people from all these different countries around the world. It was it was really interesting to see. Yeah, I'm trying to look at the background as I'm talking to you guys to see where people were coming from.
But I think that's the coolest feeling, if you put so much work into it and you decide to tweak it and curate it and change it up a bit and go live, which is also time that you're sitting in front of a computer just talking to yourself, basically, or to 1 or 2 other people, that then people show up. I think that's the biggest awesome feeling.
And we had over 100 people. We never had less than 100 people live, and we got up to about 250 at one point, which, you know, and also each day initially we planned to, you know, it was like a 2 to 3 hour day, and we had the ability for people to comment on YouTube or on Discord. And honestly, we thought people might be a little bit like hesitant to ask questions and stuff like that. But we were completely blown away that like people were asking a ton of questions and were like following along and paying attention. Therefore, we had about an hour or an hour and a half of questions that just like kept coming. So hence why the first day was like 4.5 hours. The second day was 4 hours. And then, yeah, as you can see on the screen, we also released a bonus class of 103, where we kind of put everything together in rebuilding Big's Serpentine Pavilion. So that was a big one that we kind of this was our first masterclass, and you know, it was a great experience, and it went really well. Learned a lot about, like, you know, hosting this stuff and setting up this website. You know, it takes a bit of time to get it right. You know, the marketing and also after the event is like, there's still it's not like you're done with the event and then you're like, right, I'm off on holiday. You have to like edit all the videos and get it out there and continue marketing. So now if people want to do the course, you can access the 101 is free. So you get 4 hours of introductory content completely for free at the moment. And 102 and 103 you can access for just under £20, and you can access it forever. So yeah, this was our first course, and we were kind of really excited to get the courses. I think if you hit the ATN logo, Georgi, at the top, it should. I want to do this live on YouTube. Check that the website is actually working. Boom, because that took us a long time to fix, right? That there was an issue with the website. Like once you were into the courses, you could never escape.
Who is doing what? Like, are you also involved into? Because you guys are 3 people, so it's how do you distribute the task? Is somebody more like, as you said, Faisal also during the live was more curating the chat and the questions. Is there someone that's more, for example, on the website, social media? So how do you subdivide the tasks that are behind the scenes?
A lot. I mean, at the moment, the website and social media I run, and the other guys kind of add into it for specific kind of features. You know, for example, Faisal right now is creating these little snippets from our podcasts, right? So we post these little 60-second snippets and things like that. A lot of it is also like who's available and who's got time, because we're all juggling life
and work.
Yeah, and work. But yeah, I mean, the YouTube is something that I curate and do most of the videos. Guillaume's, I think, is going to have a feature on it called Guillaume's Geometry Gym, where he will like deconstruct.
That's cool.
Deconstruct, projects and stuff like that. So that will be really great. So yeah, it's a bit of a mix. It's kind of who's available, who's got the energy and time. But yeah, I think since we've done this first course, we've been really, the courses was the thing we really wanted to get onto. Also, the YouTube was growing as well. We finally got monetized. We earned our first £1 from YouTube. Just 10 years of experience, like a couple of years of creating content, dollars of investment, but we earned £1 from YouTube. So
we congratulate you. We know how hard that is, right, Georgi?
Yeah, we did several, I think €5 on more than €5 on Patreon. So
yeah, so you gotta start somewhere, and we're starting to sell the courses a bit. It's not a huge amount, but it's like just helping us to get the next round of courses going. So now I've always been excited to do the courses, and we really want to give people the foundations for architecture. So we're going to be doing Revit, Rhino Inside, Enscape, and another Grasshopper to come this year. So stay tuned.
Quite a lot in the pipeline.
Yeah,
we were talking about this non-disclosure agreements with Eric before. In the beginning of the conversation, he said he has problem with sharing work from clients that don't want to. How it's with you and Big, because of course you work for Big, where I guess there are a lot of NDAs too. Are they just they didn't need to authorize you somehow, or are they just happy that somehow knowledge is spread?
It's like anything that you use, you'll see all the projects that we use are all public projects, right? Like any architecture firm, what you see from the outside is always like, I don't know, like a third of what's actually going on, or even not even that. Like it's, there's so many cool projects I love to kind of do tutorials on and, deconstruct. But you can't if it's not public. So hence why a lot of the products that you see us use are already public. And yeah, we just run it by the comms team at Big, and they either tell us yes or no, we can use it, really.
But I mean, you can also create some extra projects that are your own.
Yeah. We're starting to create this. So the thing is, I some people go down the route of creating projects to teach people. We're starting to do we create like a quick version of a real world project. But actually I'd rather use real world projects, because sometimes, it depends what you're teaching. If you're teaching like a sketchy thing, like, just Grasshopper or how to use Rhino and quickly sketch things, you can use a very concept level project. But to get into the real details of using Revit, for example, or Rhino inside, and that comes from the, issues that you have to solve because you're actually resolving a real world project. So we want to use real world projects. If I'm just using, it's also like, then I'm like, have a little, I have to come up with ideas for buildings that are interesting at the same time as teaching them. So you end up like producing projects just for the sake of teaching. But so using real world ones is much more applicable because they come with the problems that real world projects come with, right? When you create these little quick concept stuff, you can kind of avoid the problems by just skipping over them.
And how do you guys? So you and Guillem worked together at Big in the US, and how do you did you? Is it Faisal also from Big, and you guys live in 3 different countries from as far as I know? How is the collaboration working? Do you have like also regular meeting where you discuss what is going to be done next, or do you make some strategy together, share to-dos?
Yeah, we're always chatting on actually we tried a few things. We tried Slack, and we tried we'll jump onto Google Hangouts and stuff like that, but WhatsApp group has really worked for us. We're just always chatting. We have a little ATN WhatsApp group. So yeah, it's kind of nice having in different locations. So we're kind of like Europe. Currently, we're Europe, the US, and Africa, which is kind of nice. But we've actually had some people reach out that are interested in getting involved, which we're kind of thinking through how that works. Like maybe there's other people, there's people from India that reached out, and maybe we'll have like local ambassadors to help spread the word, because getting ATN into universities is a big thing that we want to try and do, right? We want to try and affect the next generation of architects. And in fact, Georgi, the feature that you were just looking at, the project programs feature, is another one where we're like trying to unveil the curtain behind, the programs that practices actually use, right? So we have these 6 or 7 categories, right, that we've broken technologies into: computation, modeling, BIM, all this kind of stuff. And then we've been asking, companies, what programs that you actually use on the projects. And what's interesting is, even though we've, in the grand scheme of things, I think we've had 17, 18 submissions. It's not a lot, but there's some big names in there. And so you can see nearly 100% use Rhino, right? Nearly a ton of them use some form of computation, of which that is Grasshopper. BIM is a bit more mixed, but Revit is the number one. But yeah, I think it really shows like what practices are really using. You'll see, Maya and SketchUp are not super popular, or Cinema 4D. In fact, we haven't had a SketchUp one yet, which is surprising. But yeah, this is one where we're just trying to show young architects what programs people are actually using, because you never really know, to be honest. But as as people in the industry, you kind of do know what everyone's using, right?
No, yeah, totally. And I like that you have this connection between academia and the real world, so that it's very, very applicable, and it's not something just theoretical. I like that. And you mentioned collaborations and local ambassadors with also, so to say, universities. What is your idea that somebody goes and presents Archi-Tech network to the university, and then they can join online, or what is the idea?
We're still working the idea out, but I think what was interesting with the Grasshopper masterclass was Faisal, for example, was on the ground. He was in Nigeria, and he knows people there. He has connections there. So, we got it to a few professors in the local universities, and then they pushed it towards their students to attend. So we then had, because he was there and had that connection, we then had a massive crowd from Nigeria, right? Which is amazing. So we're thinking, how does that work in the future? And also working out what's the format for our courses. Like, we do like the idea of creating an opportunity for people to watch it live, potentially for free. So we're talking to software companies about, sponsoring the videos, the live events, to make them free. But then if you want to access the recordings and go after it, watch it afterwards, then you go through a small subscription. And that way we can help, get it out there. If you can't afford the subscription, you can go and attend the live. If you don't have time to attend the live, then you can access the video and support ATN in future ones. So we're kind of working out what the future of our courses will look like, working out how can we help and speed up the, ATN getting into universities and helping as many young architects as we can. So yeah, we don't know exactly details, but for example, like Faisal, if you bring people in, maybe you get like a discount for your university or something like that, or you get a percentage of the sales used for we give you like the Creative Insider discount code, and then you get a percentage of the people that buy the course using the code or something like that.
No, I think something interesting is also that might be an opportunity for you or some of the other, whether Faisal or Guillem, to maybe just, if a local university is interested into it, to bring you on for a live lecture and then have sort of a continuous partnership where maybe the university pay a certain amount to you, and then the students that want can access the class and get some extra points, or maybe it's an online class, international. It's an interesting thing. I can say we can be ambassadors for Frankfurt because we literally live 2 minutes away from the university here. Like it's more or less downstairs.
Yeah, it's less than 2 minutes. It's actually like, I don't know, 200 meters.
That's like 1 block away. I studied there, and I came to live 1 block away after I don't need to be so close. Are
you far from our Frankfurt building, the dancing tower kind of thing?
No, that's like
not that far.
That's not that far away.
That's in the city center.
Yeah, that's downtown. That's the more. I can show what are you. It's called Omni Tower, so that people can see what you're meaning. Yeah. This is the dancing building. I say it's the most German project that a big could do, because it's like just in Germany everything is squared, so they just took a square and shake it a little bit in the middle. No, I wasn't.
It's actually, I don't know the product too much, but I think that it's had a kind of a unique program. So I think the bit that shifts in the middle is residential, and the rest is commercial, which is quite it's a great example of like how the program is kind of driving this kind of playful approach, right? In the commercial side, it's quite straightforward. On the residential side, you want to create space, outdoor space, so you kind of
they have those open balconies there with the hanging,
the flats are there.
It's not a typical typology to have like a residential part right in the middle of a tower, but it creates these kind of fun parameters and fun briefs, create interesting projects. I don't know the icon for it off the top of my head. I think it's it's a bunch of floors shifting. Oh, there you go. Go up, left on the next row, the other way, above under construction, because I think it's not completed yet.
Oh, it theoretically. Yeah. There you go.
There you go. There it is. I think there you go.
Yeah, it's 90% completed. But here in front of it, they're building like 4 towers from UN Studio. So as soon as the towers are completed, it's not gonna be. But here's the program. Like that. Yeah. You have open space in the first floor, then you have offices. Then it's really. I was inside because they organized the tour, and also. Kai Uwe Bergman was here in Frankfurt, and he was also around, and yeah, it's really funny because when you go into the flats, also all the pillars are
Very
twisted.
movable.
And
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a fun building actually. It's fun.
No, it's really nice. There are certain angles from which where you see it looks like really the building is trying to do something with the like dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah, or trying to squeeze out of the skyline. I sometimes have the impression it's trying to squeeze out and just like leave.
Yeah.
These are actual pictures, so this is not a rendering. This is how it looks like literally right now. And here in front, when the towers come, you won't be able to see from this angle, but I don't think it's the most this angle is what I meant. It's really funny because you see all these straight towers and this one is doing like whoop.
Well, yeah.
Like I hope you will have some opportunity to come over to Frankfurt to visit it yourself.
There was talk of a conference, but I think in Hamburg, not Frankfurt, but
that's
okay.
quite far away.
Yeah, it's not that close. But...
Not the closest thing.
But yeah, it's always now the world of conferences and stuff are opening back up. I'm getting more, invitations to talk in physical locations. In fact, I had my first conference in person a few weeks ago, and it was really nice to like see people and interact with people. And I think there's a big thirst for that right now because we've been online for so long. So I'm hoping I'll get a chance to travel a bit more with.
But how was it traveling? Isn't that weird after like 2.5 years you have to get on a plane, you have to get there on time, you have to pack.
Yeah, in this case, it was literally to Birmingham, so it wasn't that far.
Okay.
It wasn't the most exotic locations, but on one hand, it seems it's really nice. On the other hand, you're like, this is literally taking up my whole day, and online, this is like an hour out of my day. I don't even have to put pants on because I can sit behind a desk and a screen and hide behind it. But it has its pros and cons, right? It's time consuming. It's also like getting back to the office, right? You have to commute to the office and you're like, what am I doing commuting? Like, what is this commuting thing? It's so much time. And sometimes you really need to be in the office, and some people come in and they're just on team calls all day because they're, I don't know, more of a coordination stage of a project. So, like anything, conferences or just working, it's balancing that mix between being physical and being virtual.
Yeah.
I was curious about something else also because I remember we talked first. By now it's quite in the beginning of the podcast. It was the episode 30. And since then, you've started the Archi-Tech network and all this stuff on the side. Already before then, I've seen you also on some online platforms where it was possible to learn something from you. Has this activity online somehow impacted your career? Although, you work for big, as we said, it's already like, I don't know, you can shift between those 15, let's say 10, 15 companies that are leaders. But is it like in this, for example, conferences, or maybe also as a private contact for your inquiries for classes? Is impactful for you?
I think you can't underestimate the power of networking, and a podcast is you're just networking with a ton of people listening to you, right?
Yeah.
Like Georgi, we've never met, and we've now talked a bunch of times. I'm sure there's more collaboration down the line and things like that. So conferences have always been my biggest recommendation for students. That's where I kind of found this world of computation and BIM and specialists and that kind of thing. And by going to a couple of conferences, it just totally boosted my career in that direction. And I think doing all this teaching online, YouTubing, all that kind of stuff, it's just, it does create, new connections, and then you collaborate with that person or just have a conversation with that person. That opens up another conversation or another connection. So networking was always a tricky thing. Before it was more like, I guess in the UK it was kind of like pub based, right? You go and meet people in the pub and chat and stuff like that. But now we're more and more digital. You know people, like we all three of us now, we have a digital relationship, but we've never met in reality. That would be a bit strange a few years ago. Even if just a few years ago, it would be kind of strange. But there's a big part of why I was talking to Stephen and Oliver from Show It Better and Upstairs, and I think we thought by giving out a lot of content for free on YouTube, we thought we'd also hopefully get some great stuff back from the community, and I think that is proving to be true. Like people reach out, and we're creating collaborations and connections and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, for sure. It's like it benefits everything, right? Just take the podcast, for example. My own network is expanding. I'm meeting more people, but I'm also learning, right? That's the whole point of having the podcast. Like you learn new things, and then that feeds back into the other things I do. Like, hey, there's this really cool program that came up on the podcast. When I get to work, I'm going to go and check that out. Could we use that in the office? And so it's all like super connected, and yeah, I think that's a big benefit. And I'm sure you guys have also felt the same with the podcast, right? I'm sure you've had a lot of connections and people and learned a ton of stuff.
Yeah, there is. I mean, mainly we've learned a lot of stuff because 100 episodes. I mean, not all of those are like different people, but most of them are different people from different levels of expertise and career. I mean, sometimes I'm surprised that we had the opportunity to talk to so many big names, and also in the meanwhile, also we've learned a lot from other guests that we wouldn't have expected to learn so much from.
Yeah.
It's the great powerful thing is that you have a reason to reach out to someone, right? So if I were to reach out to Bjarke Ingels and tell him, "Hi, how are you doing?" he wouldn't have any interest to answer to me. But it's like a powerful tool also for yourself. And I suggest that a lot of people in our field start their own podcast, because this is also how, for example, Joe Rogan and all the other comedians did the podcasts, and they go on each other podcasts and they lift up the whole field. And I think it's important that more people start to do stuff like that.
Maybe we should start one where we watch the UFC and just comment.
Comment the design of the.
Maybe we should do. Yeah, we just every week we go through the zine and look at.
No, we can do that.
I bet there's audience for that.
I always wanted to do the creative news, so I wanted to do like a live stream, but I need a co-host. So if you want, we can do it like a chill thing. We stream it on both Archi-Tech Network and the Creative Insider, and we do like the zine, Arc Daily, Design Boom. We go through and see what is good and what is bad.
This is where ideas come from things like this.
No, I'm totally up for it.
But I think it's also cool, you mentioned the big names, but all the smaller independent or just expert professionals, then you get to know that people that you don't read about in the news, but you just sort of stumble over, that you think something is cool and that you dive into their story. Those are the conversations that I've especially liked.
Yeah. And I think, it like I said, even a few years ago, it might have been a bit more odd, but I think the pandemic has really boosted this whole podcast culture in architecture world, at least, you know, those even when you look at YouTube, there's not that many architecture YouTube channels, but you know, I think there's a lot of space for it. You know, we've also learned from your podcast in that, like, we still are an audio podcast, but I think seeing the difference of like face-to-face video style podcast, I think it's a lot richer. So yeah, one of the reasons why our podcast is a little bit behind, it's been on hold for a little while because we've been kind of finding new guests, thinking about how we're going to do it in the future. Are we going to go audio, video, or something else? So yeah, we're kind of, and we're also really, you know, we're really excited by the courses. So we've been focusing on the courses a little bit. So yeah, our podcast will be back soon.
No,
Well, it takes time.
I'm a listener.
Yeah, but I really liked what you've done with I think just going from audio to, you know, video, it's really engaging just to see the faces of guests and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I think you've inspired us to evolve ours as well.
That was a hard one in the making, though, too, right, Georgi?
No,
that took us a while.
Yeah, I'm always, first of all, it takes a while because I'm lazy, and because also I'm like, we are two people. And the problem is that also we have our own life. We want to spend time by doing something else apart of working and being on a computer. But also, as I told you, I like to share what I know about how it's done. I know that I'm not the best, but I'm not the worst. But it takes so much time to collect maybe this stupid information that it's so simple, but if you don't know how it's done. And I think, as I said, for me, it's important that people, I don't know how is your personal experience. What I don't like with architecture in general and design is that there is a lot of people are snobby and they, I don't know, think a lot of themselves. And I'm more like, I like cooperation and helping each other, because if there are more successful platforms, maybe someday I will be able to be on your podcast, and that will be helpful for me or for other people. And I think it's important to share this stuff with each other.
And I feel like there is a change in the culture of, you know, I think there's going to be a lot more collaboration between smaller young practices and podcasting and all that kind of stuff. But you're right, like architecture is very there's a bit of ego involved sometimes, a bit of like you know, you're stealing ideas from someone else and all this kind of stuff. So but I feel that's changing. There's a big shift, especially with the online learning kind of side and podcasting and YouTubing. There's a lot more of a collaborative culture.
Yeah, I think this helps also performing, right? Because you learn how to speak in public, and it's important to communicate as a designer to when you show your designs, or when you then have a great opportunity to go to talk on conferences. And I think this activity might sound simple and stupid, but it's important to learn how to speak.
Take some practice, eh? We need to get a full setup. Like I need to get the headphones and the hanging mic thing.
Yeah. That was also a process. We have a few boom arms here that we don't use anymore because I don't know, why did you replace those, Georgi? Because they weren't that good, right?
Yeah, no, nowadays actually there are new models you should check. They're not hanging. They're like on the table. Like if you check the Joe Rogan Experience, and they're better because, like, for example, I have to move like this to see my screen sometimes. I look like a boxer, but they come from below and it's even better. But yeah, all this stuff, as I said, this sounds like stupid, like microphones. People say you can go on YouTube and learn, but you have to go on YouTube for hours to understand all the options. So I'm thinking
took us ages to just work out how to record the audio through Clubhouse, because now it's part of the app. But like before, it was I bought this like thing, and you plug in your phone and then you plug it into your computer, and then like a nightmare. I could not get it to work. And then one of the other Clubhouse guys was like, yeah, you should use, I think it was called Club Deck at the time.
I remember I used to moderate events, or I still do, but I started many years ago. And the biggest thing was, okay, how are you actually going to screen grab the live event? Because it wasn't automatically in the systems nowadays with Zoom and everything. You have automatically record, but then you had to find the screen grab software, and then how does screen grab work even with video and everything. It was the same thing. It was super complicated. And now it's just like click.
I mean, StreamYards is another good one I got from Oliver and Steven, and that's what we use to do the masterclass. So it's all super useful to share this knowledge.
There are like there are some, for example, this is very easy for streaming like we're doing now with multiple people, but I figured out a new way to record a video podcast without Zoom, which works way better. So if you need help with that, I'll let you know, because here they are StreamYard also, it's like the free service has some limitation, and then you have to pay a subscription. But I've been also thinking to make a little guide, like for people that want to start, which is maybe
we should make a podcasting course.
I was thinking to do like a handbook
for architects,
a few pages, like to keep it niche, with how to start from zero to hero.
I feel like your podcast is very, very smooth, and you've got it all nailed in. So we could definitely learn from that.
We focus on a lot of practice learned by machine learning style, just repeating a lot of things until you don't get it the right way.
What do you think we should do with the podcast as a listener then, Georgi? Would you want to see on YouTube, video, Clubhouse as well, or something else? We do have another idea. I won't air it. But there's also another idea, but maybe you've seen it here and there. But
what idea? I didn't get the.
It's top secret still.
Yeah, it's top secret, man.
Okay.
Top secret.
It's a VIP.
Yeah.
So I think that you can do it whether. So the beauty of your podcast is that it's live, but the problem with your podcast is that it's on Clubhouse, where people cannot see you. So I would do it rather live on YouTube or Twitch or both, whatever you prefer. And if it's on YouTube and you want to make it more like, what is it called? If you want to monetize it a little more, you can just make it for the YouTube members of your channel to be able to ask questions, or maybe, this is an idea.
Yeah. I think that's the way we'll probably go. But unfortunately, Clubhouse seems to be done.
Don't get me started on that hype when it began.
I think they were at the right place at the right time, and now people can go out and go to the pub. They're like, I don't want to sit on Clubhouse anymore.
Yeah, not only that, but now you have Twitter Spaces and all this other stuff, and you have Discord where that's possible too, and you have LinkedIn is doing something a little similar as well. So they didn't scale it fast enough, probably, or maybe it was never a plan. You never know. Sometimes it's just about the first seed, and then you continue.
Sweet.
So.
Olly, I thank you very much for taking time on a Sunday for us. And I know how precious it is when you have to work a lot in the architectural field. So we can end up the conversation as usual. If you want to share something that you're looking forward as an event, or if you have discovered some new book, podcast, something, movie, It's so hard to find stuff on Netflix lately. So if you've ever
Yeah, what am I watching? I mean, I did love. I was a bit late to the game, but I did love the movie Dune. Like, just I love that like sci-fi.
Which one?
Oh, was
Dune?
that one good? Because I love Dune from the 80s. And did you see the series in the 90s or 2000s? I totally love that. But the movie was good.
I think it was like my little treat after I finished the course, the masterclass. I watched Dune.
Oh, cool.
That was quite cool. But yeah, no. Otherwise, I'll just say, yeah, for people to keep posted on Archi-Tech Network. We've got 4 courses coming this year. Hopefully, if everything works out. So Rhino Inside should be coming up next in the summer, along with Revit. Then we got Enscape, and then Grasshopper 2. So keep posted on Archi-Tech Network for future courses coming.
Yeah, sounds great. And stick around also to the Creative Insider. We share a lot of this stuff because I think it's very valuable, and I'm a student myself.
Yeah, cool. Well, thank you so much for having me, and congrats on 100.
Thanks,
you.
Olly.
All right.
Have a great Sunday.
Cool. See you later, guys.
Bye-bye.